I mix up something. I'm going totally freestyle with a lot less scholars than usual. Unlike other speakers that you have experienced so far. So I came here as a representative of our engineering educational initiative units, which we're trying to develop our teaching to ensure that our students graduate with qualities. To make sure this one, have you ever known this gentleman? No? Actually, this is the first time I saw his picture like this when I searched for in the Creative Commons. I have some work with the robots, so I have to say that he's quite special. His name is Asimov. He is a sci-fi, science fiction writer who specializes in the robots. But what I'm talking today is not about robots at all. It's about one of the short stories. The one that is written almost 60 years ago. I never know, have you ever heard of this novella, Profession? Yes? No? No? Okay. This is, he theorized then that's what will happen if you can download information directly into the brain. So what happened? A student can play all around. At the start of the elementary age, they can go to some office, download the language package. They can read and write. When they come of age, they can go to the job office, download the package, and go to work. Well, I think it's quite interesting, even though the concept behind this one is the learning is not as important as to learn how to learn. In this case, I have to say that he didn't mention anything to do with the skills or aptitude or something like that. So it's not quite cover what we are thinking about. But what happened here is that he says he can get rid of schools. There's no need to have a physical schools. And if you look at our disruptive innovation in higher educations or other level of education that we have seen so far, I have to say that some kind of list that I did here have something a lot to do with the information technologies. If you think about the augmented realities, I see a very nice 3D pictures of all sorts of biology, very, very complex. When you have e-learnings, you have an online learnings, you have a MOOCs. So I think what will happen in near future or not so near future, 10 years, 20 years from now, of course, I'm going to retire by then. But in this case, I think it's quite interesting to see what will happen. Are you going to get rid of classroom altogether? We can stay at home, join the virtual classrooms, and then we have no need to travel, no need to get a dorm or something like that. What do you think? Good? Not good? Well, just thinking, why we are still going to sport match, right? We can watch the match, like football or Euro or something or whatever, at home very comfortably, but we're still going to the stadiums. I think this is the experience that counts. We are socializing animals at all. So it means that, after all, I don't think that the classroom is not going to go, but it may change. I try to look through some type of smart classrooms that are employed around the world. For example, this one from the Samsungs. They represent a smart classrooms. You have a lot of technologies, big screens, individual screens, Wi-Fi, and other things like this. However, I have to say that To me, it looks pretty, at least for this picture, it looks pretty uniform, too uniform. And then if you look at the classroom of the futures, you can download these ones and see from the YouTubes quite easily. There's a lot of description of what they envisioned about the future classrooms almost 10 years ago. And a lot of this has come into realities. Maybe I have to go back a little bit to our educational philosophies. The Faculty of Engineering, Chulalongkorn University, has committed ourselves to what we call Education 4.0 about 2 years ago, which I don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunately. The 4.0 is coming into a very trendy word in Thailand right now about all of those industries and Thailand 4.0 or whatever. But what we mean then is that we want our students, when they graduate, they must be innovators. They don't have to work for themselves, but they must be able to see users. They must be able to see problems that users experience and then solve them. So, of course, it's easier said than done. How we can make sure that the students have that abilities? So we more or less have a really good chance coming into an engineering educational framework, CDAO. This is an international consortium. It's not accreditation board. It's just a framework that we voluntarily subscribe to. The CDAOs come from 4 words. It's conceive, design, implement, and operate. That is the systems that engineers regularly do. However, engineering schools usually do 1, design. We didn't conceive. It means that we didn't look at the users. We get the specification somewhere, design and equipment that fit the specs, and that's it. We didn't see whether it can become a reality, whether it can be solved, or whether what will happen during its lifetime. It means that in this case, we have to do something. And I just talked with one about Professor Direct, our dean, two deans ago. It's a very good time that he has a chance to overlook the construction of this building, the centenary buildings that we celebrate about a few years back. The idea of these buildings is that it was meant to be innovative buildings in all aspects. The top size is for the research and collaboration with industries. The bottom size are for education. So what's happened here is that we more or less are starting to have a platform for the learning corridors that we hope to integrate and be a seed of change. The idea of this one is that it has to be somewhere close together so that the feelings, the auras, more or less, can affect the others. So we go from the top side. The 4th floor and 5th floors are new learning classrooms that we can use to conceive and design. Of course, we have to go outside as well, but this one is a nice space. The 3rd floor is student union. Usually, the student stays there forever. The 2nd floor is main auditoriums that you can use to record lectures. And what happened here is in the mezzanines, we have a new fab lab, or what we call mega space, with a learning injection in. We call this iDesign workspace. In this case, students can produce some prototyping very, very quickly, and then try to a little bit. And on the concourse, on the 1st floor, we have a large space that students can test, hold exhibition, and other things. So I hope that this is more or less integration and in conformation with the CDAO standards. Since today we are going to talk about the classroom, so I will eliminate all of this and concentrate on the new classrooms that we have. Of course, we do not think this one from scratch. As an engineers, we highly believe in standing on the shoulders of giants. So in this case, we look around and we have a very nice thing called scale up. That is an idea of changing classrooms. You can say that in this classroom is nothing like you have when you have a rows of tables and chairs. We have a groups. Very interestingly, these are all round groups. It's all round tables. And we have lots of screens, maybe some platform, something like that. And this one, the scale, is student-centered active learning experience. So it means that in this case, the change of learning and instruction design is going to change really a lot. What happened here is that we have some problems as well, and our learning may need some other things. So we didn't fully adopt the systems, but we try to look at the elements, find the reasons behind them, and then adapt to our needs. So this is our experience timeline. We start in about 5-6 years ago when we started the classroom KMs. We found that the classrooms, the traditional classrooms, has a lot of problems, both in the learning and in the management of the classrooms. How can we supply? Depends why these screen projectors more or less cover the boards, the writing area. So it's more or less incremental change. However, we found that the incremental change is no longer enough. So we trying to do some iScale fully. We get some mock-up on the 2013. In this case, trying to show off to the alumni and get some donations or something like that. Well, actually, we borrow the round tables that used in the Chinese banquet to do the trick, and we don't like it, so to speak, it's too large. So we change something a little bit, and finally we get the donations and get the first room ready in the first semester of 2014. It works very well, but you know how slow is our bureaucracies and the purchasing systems. So it means that it's another year by the time we get another 3 rooms up. And it's also quite success. So very nicely, the university is expanding this type of room, and we became the pilot room that our faculties can come in and have a look through. In this case, the room number 5 and 6 is coming this semester as well. So it's getting full, but we still have a phase to renovate a lot more, hopefully. Actually, the infrastructure is one thing. The users is more important. We ensure that there's some trainings and professional development. And we became a formal CDAO collaborators last year. Other things has to be added as well. So I have to say that this is just some of the integrated pictures we have. Okay, this is a room. What we have here is that you can see is we have tables. That is not a square. Actually, it was exactly the same when I was in first grade, a little bigger. In this case, it can be moved easily. We have a chair that can be moved easily as well. We have a lot of screens. All of those screens are mostly TVs. And we have one large screen for the projectors, but I have to say that it's not used a lot, though. And then we have the system that controls the input-output of the audio-visual signals. You have several inputs both from the students group. We have something like 9 TVs, so 9 inputs from the students. We can have a few more on the lecturer's platform up there. And then for the output, we use a metric system so that we can ensure that any output can get more or less, we can switch between the input-output freely. And also in this case, please note at the walls. The walls are all glasses. It means that you can write on them. You can put post-it note on them or something like that. And here we go. Okay, for the utilizations, we have limited number of rooms, so we have to make prioritizations. Which course has the most urgent needs? What are the timetable schedulings that we need to fit in, or something like that? What we found here is that with this type of room, the long lecture is out, absolutely out. However good you are with lecturing, you cannot hold the students' attention for the whole period that we have of, it was, let's say, 1.5 hours. We have either 1.5 hour period or 3 hours. So in this case, long lecture is out. If you want to use this room, you have to have active learning. So it means that if you have a lecture, at least it has to be flipped classroom, so that you have something to do in class. Everything is up to the lecturers. We give them the, more or less, we just spread the techniques on the table. Okay, you can choose whatever you like. You can develop your own. We cannot, you know the content best, and what is your students. And of course, we usually use the bring your own device. Not every student have the device, but at least you can share. Actually, the sharing is very good. Okay, this is the news in March. Have you ever seen this one? No? It's more or less in a lot of the newspapers as well. It goes like that. When there was a non-extracurriculum programs about 3 workshops, about 3 hours, about how to, let's say, get the girls. That's why it became a sensation. However, actually, it was something about first impression making. So, of course, they have to get some catching names in order to make news. But however, I found it's very interesting that everybody talk about how to get the girls, and no comments was on the room. Very interesting. So I think maybe they didn't notice it or something like that, but it may become a background. Now, how can we lecture? In the type rooms, we can do lectures like this. Hopefully, get everybody in a line, in front of a screen, or in front of lecturers. Well, not very good. As you say, we have to write, right, in order to learn. This setting is not going to work. If you lecture in front of the large screens, the one here, well, everybody have to turn around and look at you. They cannot write as well because the table is on the other side. So clearly, if you want to do a lecture here, it has to be short. It can be remedial lectures or something like that. Okay, and then for the lecturings, oops. Sorry, that's a problem with the system, so I have to hold this. This is a student presentation, an example of the bad one, so to speak. What happens when you are in front of the large screen where others look another way?
โหลดที่ไปชนไม่ได้จับสิ่งกีดขวางที่ไปชนนะครับก็อัลฟาเป็นไซน์กำลัง-1อัลฟา RD ลบ2ส่วนด้วย RD ครับผม
No, but if you don't want to see it, but I have to say that hold the attention of the student is very, very hard. Of course, it means that the learning in this class had to be something else. For examples, we can have groups, hand-on works, a little work in groups that is quite nice. Of course, we expect students to walk around. If they don't understand, okay, try to find the next guy. And it means that we have to ensure that our students are up to date. Okay, in this case, she comes from the groups, the next group, actually. What happened here is that if one student knows, he can teach the others, and very soon all the class know already. And this one, another thing, bigger groups, 5 students, we have to rearrange the tables a little bit to accommodate the students. We have a lot of tables for the groups, and then lecturers, we walk around, noting the problems and checking the progress of the students. Okay. In this case, also, we can rearrange the table quite easily. In fact, we have more or less a permit. In the most standard forms, we have a space at the center. We can do a lot of reflecting, talking, and do some small, let's say, activities. Of course, we can do some group work, split the tables. We have small groups. And then they can study, do something on their own, and get the new pictures. In this case, what they do is they study about the Wi-Fi signals. So the lecturers assign some work about the study of Wi-Fi, and then send the students out around the campus to check the strength of the Wi-Fi signals everywhere. So it means that each group of the students will have a unique problem. It's not the same as their friends, so they cannot copy. And then they have to integrate together, and they will see what happened, what are the difference between all of those. Is there compatibilities, some covering? And of course, you can have some brainstormings. We have a lot of space. We have a nook and niche that we can more or less have a feeling of partitions between the groups. In this case, this is a design for the second-year students in mechanical engineering. That's why I know what this is about, the first course in design. And then if we look, oops, sorry. Oops. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Okay, I have to say that the sound is a little deafening. In reality, even though we have the more or less the sound absorbing walls as well, it's still quite loud. Actually, a lot of lecturers use the level of decibels to measure the success of their class. The louder, the better. We have lecturers here. The time is ticking down. Very funny. So, I have to say that there are a lot more works that have been done in the class. Let's say, sorry. Let's have a look at some videos. I like videos. I have to say that I use it a lot more.
รองศาสตราจารย์ดร.อังคีศิษย์ประภากรนะครับตอนนี้รับหน้าที่เป็นหัวหน้าหน่วยวิศวศึกษาคณะวิศวะจุฬาสำหรับหน่วยเราเนี่ยก็มีการช่วยกันพัฒนาห้องเรียนอย่างต่อเนื่องนะครับแต่ก่อนเราก็ดูถึงห้องเรียนแบบดั้งเดิมดูซิว่าจะปรับย่อยยังไงให้มีการตอบสนองการเรียนรู้ที่แตกต่างหลากหลายได้ดีขึ้นแต่คราวนี้พอเราเห็นประเด็นแล้วว่าตัวห้องเรียนเนี่ยมันจะดีกว่าไหมถ้าเกิดจะสนับสนุนให้เด็กเนี่ยมีการเรียนรู้ร่วมกันจะดีกว่าไหมถ้าเกิดอาจารย์เนี่ยจะสามารถเข้าถึงนิสิตแต่ละคนเนี่ยได้อย่างคล่องแคล่วรวดเร็วนะครับเพื่อที่จะให้ฟีดแบ็กเขาให้เขาเรียนรู้อะไรก็มีฟีดแบ็กเขาเนี่ยมันก็น่าจะดีขึ้นมันก็จะนำมาสู่การพัฒนาที่เราเรียกว่าห้อง iScale ห้อง iScale เนี่ยเราก็เรียกมันว่าห้อง I ก็คือ Engineer นะก็คือวิศวะจุฬานี่แหละแล้วก็ Scale นี่ก็คือ Student Center นะครับ Active Learning Experience เพราะฉะนั้นห้องนี้เนี่ยเราก็มุ่งที่จะมีการเรียนรู้ที่มี Student Center คือมีนักเรียนเป็นศูนย์กลางจริงๆพยายามที่จะให้อาจารย์ที่อยากจะใช้ Active Learning เนี่ยสามารถมาใช้พื้นที่ตรงนี้ได้อย่างเหมาะสมสะดวกในการที่เขาจะจัดรูปแบบการเรียนรู้แบบ Active Learning นั้นอันนี้ก็เป็นเป้าของการพัฒนาห้อง iScale หน่วยวิศวศึกษาของเราเนี่ยก็จะเป็นทีมนะครับทีมที่เราพยายามที่จะมาดูกันว่าตัวศาสตร์ทางด้านศึกษาศาสตร์นะครับจะถูกนำมาช่วยในการพัฒนากระบวนการเรียนรู้ในวิศวกรรมศาสตร์อย่างไรเราก็เลยเรียกว่าวิศวศึกษาลักษณะงานที่ผ่านมาเนี่ยเราก็จะดูในทั้งหลายๆส่วนทั้งทางด้านฮาร์ดแวร์ซอฟต์แวร์กับ people แวร์แน่นอนว่าฮาร์ดแวร์ที่เราคุยกันวันนี้ก็คือเรื่องของห้องเรียนเราก็ดูแลนะครับว่าจะมีการพัฒนาปรับปรุงหรือว่าเปลี่ยนโฉมไปเลยยังไงอย่างห้อง iScale เนี่ยก็เป็นการเปลี่ยนโฉมไปเลยลักษณะของซอฟต์แวร์ก็เช่นเดียวกันซอฟต์แวร์ก็คือหมายความว่าอาจารย์ที่เข้ามาสอนเนี่ยท่านก็ต้องมีแนวคิดของท่านว่าท่านจะออกแบบการเรียนการสอนยังไงออกแบบกิจกรรมยังไงตรงนี้ก็เป็นเรื่องของซอฟต์แวร์แล้วก็เรื่องของ people แวร์ก็เช่นก็เรื่องของการพัฒนาศักยภาพของอาจารย์ท่านอยากจะสอนให้มีประสิทธิภาพที่ดีขึ้นสอนให้เหนื่อยแรงน้อยลงแล้วก็มีการอบรมต่างๆมีการให้ความรู้ต่างๆเพื่อที่ให้อาจารย์ท่านมีศักยภาพในการสอนที่เต็มที่ในมุมหนึ่งเนี่ยก็คือสำหรับเด็กสมัยนี้เนี่ยถ้าเกิดจะให้เขาเรียนรู้ได้ดีต้อง engage เขาทำอย่างไรที่จะท้าทายเมื่อให้โจทย์ที่น่าสนใจแต่สิ่งที่เราพบก็คือการท้าทายอันหนึ่งที่เหมาะสมก็คือการที่ให้น้องๆเขาได้มาเรียนรู้ร่วมกันแล้วมันจะเกิดการท้าทายขึ้นโดยธรรมชาติและลักษณะของพื้นที่การเรียนรู้เนี่ยเราก็เลยอยากจะให้คนที่เรียนรู้เนี่ยเขาสามารถที่จะเข้าถึงกันได้ก็จะมีการแชร์ข้อมูลมีการท้าทายมีการเรียนรู้ร่วมกันนะครับอันนี้เป็นลักษณะของการเรียนรู้ที่เราอยากจะให้เกิดขึ้นมากขึ้น
I especially cut something out. I would like you to see the comparisons between the old classrooms and the new classrooms. I teach one classes that has several sections. Due to the limit of varieties of the iScales, I have to teach somewhere else in a traditional classrooms using the flipped classroom systems. Well, we have a very good synchronizations between the lecturers. Everybody's using the same materials, using same videos, check the students using the same exercise, same activity in class. We talk about this one at least 4 times a week to ensure before class, after class, and so on. What's happened here is that, unfortunately, I was ambushed by the video teams. They come up in front of my class one day and say, I'm going to take your videos. I was very bad off that day. I mean, using dress in the dress at the back of the wardrobe or something like that. So I have to say that I cut a lot of me out. But I have to say that in this case, we have what we call the mechanics of materials. We are looking how body breaks under different type of loads. What happens when you try to pull it out, push it back, twist, bend, or do something like that. There are several modes. So what we do here is, in that day, we just happen to break some shocks. The students have to predict what will happen, do it, and then see what the other difference between what they found and what they think, and then try to use the theories to back up what's happened, or to see what's wrong with the mode of breaking up things. So this is the normal classrooms. We see that we have rows of tables around here. Students can note something down. They hardly talk with the next guy because it's difficult to more or less turn around. Usually I have to twist myself in between the rows. Not very nice. And then it's quite fun, but unfortunately they cannot pull in the groups. However, if you're in iScale, you can see that they can sit at different angles. They can broadcast the results to other students.
ผมนายกฤตนัท จิราถาวงศ์ครับ
There are also something like that. So I think I have to say is that even though we have everything that is the same, the environment do affect the learnings a lot. And then I would like to, in this case, we can talk easily. We can do something. And this is a broadcast to other screens via the Apple TVs. They have even some Wi-Fi.
ผมนายกฤตนัท จิราถาวงศ์ครับนิสิตคณะวิศวกรรมศาสตร์ชั้นปีที่1ครับผมอย่างห้องนี้เลยใช่ไหมครับผมรู้สึกว่ามันดีตรงที่แต่ละกลุ่มก็นั่งเป็นแหล่งของเขาแล้วก็สามารถยิงพรีเซนต์ขึ้นได้ทันทีครับไม่จำเป็นต้องกลุ่มนี้พรีเซนต์มาหน้าห้องนะแล้วก็มานั่งพรีเซนต์หน้าห้องแล้วถ้าใช้โปรเจคเตอร์เหมือนสมัยก่อนครับก็จะเหมือนกับว่าหลังห้องก็ไม่เห็นละแต่ว่าอย่างห้องตรงนี้มันเหมือนกับว่าทั่วถึงแล้วก็เวลาใช้เสียงก็คือเป็นไมค์ลอยส่งมาได้เลยผมว่ารู้สึกว่าการเรียนการสอนในห้องนี้มันทำให้ราบรื่นมากขึ้นเป็นระบบมากขึ้นแล้วก็มีความคล่องตัวมากขึ้นเพราะว่าเครื่องพรีเซนต์อยู่ผมสามารถมองจอที่อยู่ตรงหน้าผมได้เลยรู้สึกว่าดีครับประทับใจบรรยากาศที่คอมโพสิชันต่างๆในห้องนี้มันรวมออกมาให้เรารู้สึกว่าเป็นการเรียนที่มีความร่วมมือให้ความร่วมมือกันจริงๆมีการทำงานเป็นกลุ่มจริงๆแล้วก็ได้พาร์ทิซิเพทกับกิจกรรมในคลาสจริงๆครับไม่ใช่ว่านั่งอยู่ข้างหลังแล้วก็ข้างหน้าพูดไปสิอะไรเงี้ยรู้สึกว่าในห้องนี้ครับทุกคนมีส่วนร่วมในการเรียนการสอนจริงๆครับ
Okay, this is the first year students. He takes the class, what we call the Exploring Engineering World, which is the introduction to engineers. They have to change the mindset a little bit from the science project that they used to do in the secondary schools into something more engineering. And then something else, general education. Innovative thinking is one of the most popular courses. Okay, they are juggling every year. And this is what they call ultra presentations, like the Ultraman, with a time limit.
สวัสดีค่ะชื่อนางสาวนริชาสุขนรัมนะคะเรียนอยู่ชั้นปีที่4คณะครุศาสตร์ค่ะเป็นวิชาที่มีการเรียนการสอนแบบต่างออกไปจากที่เราเคยเรียนกันนะคะแล้วทีนี้คือตัวหนูเองเนี่ยเรียนอยู่ในคณะครุศาสตร์อย่างเงี้ยค่ะก็เลยอยากจะรู้ว่ามันจะมีวิธีสอนอย่างอื่นไหมที่นอกจากวิธีการสอนทั่วๆไปที่จะทำให้เหมือนกับว่าเด็กได้รับความรู้แล้วก็เกิดการเรียนรู้แบบอย่างเต็มประสิทธิภาพหรือว่าเป็นห้องเรียนที่ดีมากๆสำหรับการเรียนการสอนนะคะ
สวัสดีครับผมชื่อไกลครับลักษณะพิสิทธิ์กุลตอนนี้เรียนอยู่ชั้นปี4ครับเรียนคณะจิตวิทยาครับเมื่อห้องเรียนแบบนี้ก็มันก็จะแปลกจากที่เราเคยเรียนมาตลอดชีวิตนะครับผมที่เห็นได้ชัดสุดก็คือเรื่องของการที่มันมีจอที่เยอะนะครับผมแล้วก็มันจะใกล้กับคนเรียนมาก ไม่เหมือนกับเวลาที่เราเรียนในห้องทั่วไปเนี่ยแล้วถ้าเกิดเราเกเรหน่อยเนี่ยเราไปนั่งข้างหลังเนี่ยแล้วถ้าเกิดเราสมาธิหลุดต่อให้เขาพรีเซนต์อะไรมามันก็เราก็หลุดไปเลยครับผมอีกอันนึงที่เห็นได้ชัดคือคนเรียนทุกคนนะฮะจะค่อนข้างใกล้ชิดกับผู้สอนเพราะว่าด้วยความที่ห้องมันเป็นตรงกลางอย่างนี้ใช่ไหมครับถ้าเกิดคนสอนมายืนตรงกลางเนี่ยมันก็ยากที่จะแบบแอบไปเล่นเกมฮะหรือว่ามันไม่เหมือนกับห้องที่เป็นห้องลึกเข้าไปแล้วคนไม่คือผมเห็นเลยเพื่อนที่ซีกันอย่างเงี้ยทุกครั้งมันต้องไปนั่งข้างหลังพอไปนั่งข้างหลังเสร็จแล้วเนี่ยมันก็อะไรสภาพแวดล้อมต่างๆนะก็ยิ่งช่วยอำนวยให้เขาได้ไม่ต้องเรียนนะฮะครับผมแต่อันนี้มันจะกลับกันนะครับก็จะใกล้ชิดกับผู้สอน
Okay, so this is some testimonies from the students. I have to cut it a little bit though, unfortunately. So in this case, what's happened here is that after some times, we have the lesson learned that we would like to share is, of course, the environmental have a strong impact on the learning and teachings. For example, in these rooms, you cannot have long lectures anymore. You have to use other techniques, something like that. However, the technology is just a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. You have to integrate both the environment, pedagogies, technologies, and also the users. That means both the lecturers, students, administrations, and IT guys, and other things as well, in order to make it work. And then, when we talk about smart classroom, unfortunately, I have to say that my room is not smart. It's as smart as the users. So in this case, it's up to the users, really. And getting the room done is not simple. There's a lot of bureaucracies that we have to overcome. However, we just found that it's just the beginning. It's a lot more to manage them, to maintain, to make sure that the utilization and everything are effective. So I have to say that it's not just coming to a room, but the infrastructures and the supporting system has to be worked out and adapt to your own situation as well. Okay, this is our motto, 3 words, 360 degrees interaction and collaboration. I think that are the key words that the activities is most likely to succeed in the room. You have to have something that is connecting around with the environment, with the others, and in all sorts of angles. Okay, if you're talking about disruptive technology and disruptive innovations, we have to say that it truly became a disruptive innovation when it replaced the existing ones, the existing products and other things. So, well, this is one of the classrooms that we think that it might have a chance, or it might not. It's really, we have to just look at the future to see what's happened. And, okay, this is our Facebook page, if you like. Usually we try to put something out, some video clips and other things that you might find interesting. Okay, and this is what we do last year. Well, I have to say is that the course is quite expensive and we get the sponsors. This first we get from the Asia fronts and then others industries. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rooms altogether. And then the course activities. If you look at these courses, you can see a lot of range in the course. It comes from the first year student, Introduction to Engineering. We have the second year that is lecture-based. We have a lot of designs. We have something for the graduate students as well, seminars. And other things, I think it's quite interesting. We can fit a lot of this into the rooms. The idea is that we try to share the utilization by not fixing the rooms to certain classes. Most 3 rooms can be booked throughout the semester if they show that they are going to use active learning heavily. 1 room is kept for the space. Other classes or other courses can book for each lessons that they need the features. So in this case, we can make it more. Okay, so that's it. I'm in time. Should be. Okay, I hope that if you have something to ask, please.
Do we have any questions?
Hello. Thank you. This is a very nice presentation I have heard. I have a question for you because actually it's just a simple question because this is like you try to build a very good environment for education and learning. And however, I noticed that the chair in the room, there is a problem with the lack of the chairs. That has happened. And I think this is also happened in the class in my hospital too. And I don't know whether it's used to be caused any accident or not.
Oh, accident. Okay, as far as I know, there's no problem with the chairs. The students, actually they say they like it. They say that they can roll around easily. What will happen is that we once have a problem with the tables. It's a little too light. And then when one lecturers more or less put too much force on it, it just goes crashing down, topple over. So I have to say that the chairs is okay. It can move around, and that's what the students like. It can be folded together in one row to move it easily, and that's it.
If I'm going to design the room like this, how much is going to cost us?
More than 1 million. The problem is that we have a lot of. The problem is that we try to do something like the research, because we want to more or less iron out the bad things before it was assimilated to other faculties. For example, the tables are designed. They are custom made. The systems for the TVs are quite complex. We use the bring your own device, so it means that you have to accept both the Apples, the Androids, the PCs, both hardwired and Wi-Fi and wireless, and other things. The systems, and we have to wire we have to do the wiring around, and the length of the wire is quite long. So it can be a lot more expensive because we have to make sure that the quality, the system qualities are very good. And something, yes, what's next? Okay, what's next? Yes, we have to do the new panelings. The systems for the power, so that it can be easily shut down, energy conservation, and all other things as well. The paneling for this, the mirrors, paneling for writing. In this case, on the top one that cover the windows can be slank, so that we can have a nice thing. So I have to say that we more or less spend a lot more than we have to.
Is there any smart board in this
Not in these rooms. The room number 5 and 6 have smart boards. We trying to continuously modify the rooms according to the problems that we found. For example, this one has a built-in TV. The top rooms have the movable TV stands instead, or something like that.
Questions? Okay, thank you, and thank you to both of our speakers for the